Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to Mission Array. My name is Wajdan. I'm in my third year of computer science, and today I'm taking you through a realistic first year of computer science at university as a master procrastinator. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my first year of university, I took 4 courses in the fall term and then 5 courses in the winter term. The reason I did this is because I kind of wanted to see what kind of course load I could handle. So I did find out that 4 courses was better for me. I just think that 5 courses was a bit too much. It was too much workload for me to handle. And with 4 courses, I could focus on each course more in depth. So I'm mainly going to be focusing on the computer science courses. I'll go a little bit into my electives at the end, but I know what we're all really here for. You want to hear about the computer science courses. So of course, that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. So for each course, I'm going to be talking about the course content, then the course lifestyle, so talking about like labs, assignments, whatever else we had. I'm going to be talking about the midterms and the final exams. Then finally, I'm going to be giving each course a rating out of 10 to tell you kind of how much I enjoyed the course, how easy it was, just a basic rating out of 10. So the first course I'm going to be talking about, I took in my first year fall term, was CP 104, which was Intro to Programming in Python. So this course was just about the fundamentals. So talking about print statements, if statements, for and while loops, variables, just very basic syntax stuff, not really going into anything too complicated or complex. For this course, we had lectures in person, but they weren't really lectures. They were more like, if you have questions, come to the lecture and we can answer those questions. But in terms of actually learning the content, our professor just posted stuff online, and then we would go and watch those videos. He would post videos, and we would watch those videos just to learn whatever we need to learn. We also did have labs for this course, but they were the same thing. Just come if you have questions or you need help setting up the environment or anything like that. So the other aspect of the lab was we would have kind of a list of questions that we would have to answer with code. So one question could be like, write a for loop to draw a triangle using the print statement. So that's a pretty basic example, but it'd be questions like that. We also did have assignments. So those were a little bit harder, but labs and assignments for CP 104, they weren't that hard at all. Now back then, I really hated how the professor would teach about just posting videos online and expecting us to do the labs and assignments just from that. Now, being in my third year now, I really appreciate the way he taught, because just going to lectures is such a pain, just the videos made it so much easier to learn and then just apply all the stuff that I've learned. I can watch it over and over. So I've really come to appreciate it now. Now in terms of the midterm, I don't really remember it too well. I do remember that it was super easy though. Like it's just very basic syntax stuff. I don't even think the midterm covered loops. I think it was just variables, print statements, and if statements. Now the final was also very easy, as this is an intro course. But I'm the type of person that stresses a lot for final exams, even if I know I'll be fine. So I did fumble a little bit on the final exam. My biggest issue is not reading the questions properly, and it's gotten me so many times in university. So if you take one thing out of this course, make sure you read the questions on your assignments, on your labs, on your final exams, on everything. Read carefully. So I actually remember the question I messed up. We were supposed to write a function that basically prints hashtags. So it kind of creates like a triangle. So it'd go from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then it'd go back down from like, it would do another 4, and then 3, 2, 1. So I read the question wrong, and I just printed up to 4. So it was just 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did half the question. So I think I got par marks for it, but that's the question I messed up. So yeah, I messed up the final exam a little bit, but I ended the course with an A-. Now, although I learned the content the summer before, even if I hadn't, this course wasn't too hard at all. It was very, very simple stuff. So in terms of difficulty, it's probably like a 3 out of 10, not even, probably like a 2 out of 10. But in terms of how much I enjoyed it, probably an 8 out of 10, just because I knew what I was doing, so it made me feel really smart. Now, overall, I'd give this course like an 8 out of 10. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 because I do like a little bit of a challenge. There was no challenge at all. It was very, very simple. You're saying, oh, what about the A minus? I messed up on the final exam, okay? But yeah, the course was good. I just wish there was more to it. So now the next course I want to talk about is MA 102, which is Functions and Differential Calculus. So this course I actually took by accident. Now what I mean by that is before first year started, you're supposed to take a test to see if you would take this course or the one after, which is MA 103. I don't remember what the course is called, but we'll get into that if I make a future video. But I actually passed the test. You know, I like math, so it was pretty easy. But when enrolling into courses, I accidentally enrolled into this one. So I guess I just wasted $500 and a semester's worth of this course. But it was fun, so it's okay. This course is basically just advanced functions from high school. So like trigonometry, quadratics. There was a lot of limits, I'm pretty sure. And MA 103 also is all limits. But MA 102 so far, it's just advanced functions. So if you want to prepare for it beforehand, just pay attention in advanced functions or study it beforehand. For this course, we did have lectures and they were in person, so I appreciated that. But I didn't go because I already knew advanced functions. I did pretty well in high school. Now we also had labs for this course. They were pretty stressful just because it's a page of math questions. You have about an hour or so to do them, but it was stressful but not too hard. Again, advanced functions, just study it and you'll be fine. We also had weekly assignments. They were just an online resource where you had to do, I think, up to 14 math questions. Again, easy. The midterm and exam were, again, pretty simple. It was just application questions for all the content you've learned. So just a basic math test. I don't want to talk about this course too much because, again, it was an accident. So just in terms of difficulty, I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. In terms of how much I enjoyed it, probably like also an 8 out of 10. Just because it also made me feel really smart doing all this stuff and getting good grades. I was like, wow. Now this next course was the bane of my existence. We're going to be talking about MA 122, Linear Algebra. Oh my goodness. Now in terms of content, it actually wasn't that bad. The math seems very complex working with matrices, but if you keep up with the work, and you can say this about any course, but especially this one, if you just study a little bit every week, you'll be fine. But as a master procrastinator, right out of high school, I didn't do that. It also didn't help that my professor had a very thick accent. So when he was talking in the lectures, I didn't even know what he was saying. He was just writing numbers and symbols on the whiteboard. I was like, what are you doing, man? Oh, but don't worry, because, you know, I had the textbook. I'm pretty good as long as I have a resource. I'll just learn from it. I'll learn on my own. But guess who wrote the textbook? So yeah, the professor wrote the textbook. So this course covered vectors and matrices. I think we learned a little bit about that in high school in calculus, but it also covered eigenvalues, eigenvectors. Those were pretty fun. I don't know what they do, but they were pretty fun to learn about. The labs were the same as MA 102, where it was just a page of questions, and then you have like about an hour to answer them. But it was so much more stressful because with linear algebra, it is so hard to do those application questions. I still think about them. I still dream about those questions and nightmares. So the midterm was pretty hard. I hadn't studied properly, so I was very lucky. I passed with a 60 on the midterm. I actually lost my student card the day of the midterm. So I was stressing a lot. I was like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna, like, you know, take my exam away, not let me write the midterm? But I guess they don't even check your student card for the midterms. They just check it for the final exam. So I got saved for that. So for the exam, I don't know what I got, but I think I did pretty decent. I studied 2 weeks before the exam. Like, that's when I started studying the course. So I crammed everything. And I think I did pretty well because I went from like a D- to like a C, which is what I finished with. Yeah, you know, C's get degrees though. Now, the course content wasn't too difficult. Like I said, if you keep up with it, you'll be fine. But in terms of difficulty just for me, I'm giving it like an 8 out of 10 because I don't know if it's like negative nostalgia. I don't know what you call it, but that course, I hated that course so much. It was a pain. If I had to do it again, I'd probably enjoy it, but I hated it the first time I took it. In terms of how I enjoyed it, 3 out of 10. Professor, I still don't understand what you say to this day. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Now this next course, it was probably one of the most important courses I have ever took and will ever take, but I didn't pay attention, so pay attention to this next one. So the next course I'm going to be talking about is CP 164, Data Structures and Algorithms. Now this was the first course of my winter term where I took 5 courses this term. Now, if you remember the beginning, this was the term that I realized I cannot handle 5 courses. So it didn't help that this is one of the most important courses. But what this course talked about was data structures and algorithms. So stuff like stacks, queues, arrays, linked lists, just stuff you're gonna need to know for computer science interviews. Now, if someone had told me that this is that important, I would have paid more attention to it. But no one told me. So I kind of slacked through this one. Now, the content was actually very interesting. I liked learning about these different structures and how to implement them. But actually implementing them was a different story, because me and my group mates who worked together, we didn't cheat. We just worked. Anyways, we stayed up till the last hour sometimes to do the assignments and labs. Implementing the data structures, we would do it the last day, the day before it was due. So we would have we'd go up to 2 a.m. I remember one time we stayed up the whole night to finish one of the assignments. And even then, one of my classmates, or not my classmate, my group mates, he forgot to actually hand in the assignment after all that work. And he's like, dang it. But speaking of labs and assignments, it was the same structure as CP 104, where the labs are just a page of questions. I guess you'd call they're more methods. If you know what a method is, great. If you don't know, go look it up. But it was just methods that we had to code for a specific structure. So like stack, we would do, I think it's push and pop we would code. And then I don't know, I can't think because I'm thinking off the top of my head right now. But yeah, we would just code up the methods. Now the assignments were also the same, just code up the methods. But they were a little bit harder methods, you know? Like interlace 2 stacks. Like you have the stack, make them go like 1 1 1 1 1 1. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. Now the professor for this course was the same as CP 104, so it was just, there were lectures, but not actually lectures, you know, go if you have questions. But the way we would learn is he would post videos online, we would just watch them and then try and apply that knowledge to the labs and assignments, which was a pretty good method, honestly. Now the midterm, it wasn't even that bad, you know, me and my friends, I think we did pretty well. We survived off part marks. Now for the final exam, we had to create a structure similar to something we've handled in the assignments, but not exactly the same. So it was a little bit different. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a set, I think it was. But I'm not using this as an excuse. I totally am. But I was fasting that day, so I'll say that's why. That affected my exam. So after that exam, I actually didn't feel too good. I was fairly certain I would pass, but after a month of waiting or however long I waited, well, we got our marks back and I passed with a 49 point, I think 08 or something like that. I failed by less than 1%. I have here in my notes. I failed by 0.82%. I'm not gonna do the math right now, but if you can do the math, 49.18%. So I emailed my professor and I also emailed the dean, being like, oh, I failed by less than 1%, please. But that was a little too hasty, you know. But luckily my professor, best professor I've ever had, he went over my exam again. He's like, oh, one of your methods that you coded didn't test properly, so I'll give you the marks for that. And I passed the exam. I was so happy. And take in mind, for this course, you have to pass the exam to pass the course. So even if I have like an 80, but I got like a 49.5 on the exam, I still fail. So I was very stressed, and thank God I was able to pass. And also the method that didn't test properly was so simple. It was literally a length method. to tell how long the structure is. So it was literally one line of code. Thank God I wrote that one line of code. This is why you always do the easy questions on tests, exams, midterms, anything first. Always do the easy questions, go through it again, do the hard questions, then go through it once more and do every question. Check, like, do the question again and check your answers and see which one's right. So overall, I finished this course with a C. In terms of enjoyment, I really enjoyed the course. It was very interesting to learn about all that stuff. So I give it like an 8 out of 10 in enjoyment. In terms of overall, just how I liked the course, probably like a 7 out of 10. Now finally, we have what I was talking about, MA 103, which I guess I took in winter term, which I didn't even know, I forgot. But this course was Calculus 1. So this course was a follow-up of MA 102. It was just the same, some advanced functions and a lot of limits. It was just all limits. I remember probably like 2/3 of the course is just limits. If you don't know what limits are, it's like as a function approaches a number, usually it's infinity or 0, like what is the behavior, what does it tend to go towards. So let's say we have a function, and as like what happens to the function as x gets closer and closer to infinity, like where does the function go, you know? So that's what limits are. Now in terms of labs and assignments, we've gone through this many times. Same concept or same structure as MA 102, where it's just a page of questions, do the questions. We had a weekly like assignment thing where you just like, it's like up to max 14 questions where you just answer them online, and that's what those were. Now the midterm was actually very simple as well, because I don't think we'd actually gone into limits at that point, but the exam was very tricky. I'm convinced I passed on part marks as well, because there's a lot of trick questions they put in there. I don't remember what they are exactly, but it was very tricky, and they were saying, oh, it's very straightforward. It was not straightforward. It was pretty tricky, but thank God I passed. The way I did it was, I did the method I talked about, where you go through all the easy, then the hard, then once more, but even that didn't help too much. I just made sure not to leave anything blank. So for this course, I gave it like a 6 out of 10 for difficulty, 3 out of 10 for enjoyment. I don't know, I didn't really like it that much. Finally, I'm gonna go through my electives. So the first one was EM 203, which is like, it's like learn in 280 characters or less. I don't know. It was a course where you do stuff on Twitter, like get 10 followers, follow 10 people, tweet this, and then I think like 3 like essays. It was the easiest course I've ever taken in my life. I got an A+. Next is OL 140. I actually wasn't even in this course when it started. I just went up to the professor. I'm like, oh, let me join. She's like, contact this person. So I didn't even contact them. I just waitlisted, and I eventually got in. So I just took it because my friends were in it. So I was like, oh, let me chill with my friends. But it was a nice course. It was basically a business course. I've taken courses like these before, so it was pretty easy. I finished with a B+. Last was WS 100, which was like a women and gender studies class. I don't remember too much about this class because I didn't really go to lectures. I didn't like the class too much. It was like a lot of essays. So yeah, but I'm convinced there was some sexism going on there. I don't know. But I finished with a B-. Well, everyone, that was my first year in university as a computer science major. Make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments when you're going to university, what major you're taking. Let me know anything you guys want to know, like any questions or any future videos you'd like to know. And with that, take care, guys.